This chapter is going to let us look a little bit about personal and personnel problems in the workplace. Most of the time, a new graduate nurse will not be expected to handle people problems alone. However, awareness of problems is very critical, and a new graduate must think of how to relate to those kinds of situations, including what the responsibilities are for reporting and following up in each situation. Unfortunately, these are some of the things that you may encounter. And along with these. Looking at absenteeism, it does definitely affect your staff and your patient care. And we'll talk a little bit more about these in class and, how it does affect. And you even encounter this when you're doing your clinicals as well. Motivation in this slide refers to attempting to determine the cause of a problem and working to provide a positive, upbeat environment that's more conducive to employees being more motivated. Ability can be identified by frequent errors in judgment or techniques that indicate a lack of knowledge, skill, or critical thinking. Some of your specific behaviors or trends and behaviors can help identify where additional training and support are needed to improve these skills. Another thing we deal with too is, and it's important to confront the employee with behaviors that are inappropriate, set limits and consequences, especially for those who are immature employees. We're going to look at this slide more so in class, but go ahead and look at it. Patient care is always in jeopardy when a nurse has a chemical dependency. So this can be a really big issue for human resources. And how does staff handle the situation and the behaviors? And so we'll talk a little bit more about this. It's always good to know what is available for your employees and also what's available to you as an employee. Sometimes we deal with some emotional problems that come into the workplace and affect us as employees or affect our coworkers and, unfortunately, our patients. Go ahead and read over this example or definition of incivility and lateral violence. Sometimes we get into problems because we don't clarify our roles and expectations with our employees. So making sure that they understand what are their responsibilities, what are, as it says here, those policies and procedures, and what are they accountable for, and accountability. And then sometimes we have to have some written reminders as well that might have to go into files. Unfortunately, if things can't come to resolve, we may have to go on to make a decision on what needs to be done or if an employee needs to be terminated. And you have to look at the unit and how this employee has affected the entire unit and how we're going to perform our duties for good patient care. Here are some of the steps that they use for discipline in the workplace. And I don't know if you remember when Ms. Rubilla was here, as she said with HR, if something wasn't documented, it wasn't done, just like on the floors. So these issues lots of times cannot be left up to memory. So having a discussion is helpful, particularly with employees who report to a nurse or the ancillary employees, but you have to take notes. You have to have everything documented, and it doesn't have to give all the whole story. It needs to be short, brief description, what happened, the date, time, who was involved, if any interventions were done or any verbal reprimand, that needs to be documented as well. Hopefully nobody will have to go up against this, but it's always good to know what is out there.